All right, welcome.
Welcome, everybody. I think the last one that we did, we talked about this cute guy, right? We talked about my what do they call it? EDC, everyday carry, my bug out bag for tuning, and that is this. It's this little guy, which means that the bigger one graduated to my auxiliary kit. And my auxiliary kit is what I'm going to show you today. And that's going to have all of the stuff that is basically like, we're in a tight spot. We got to get this fixed. So this is something that I'm usually taking on service calls, but that stays in the car. And so if there's anything that comes up, I'll go out to the car, grab it. If I don't have it in this kit, I'm absolutely setting up another service call to get this fixed. But I'm excited to show you this. I think before we get started, there were some questions about the little ETD stand that I have.
Yeah, I didn't put that in the document.
It's called something. Okay, you put it in the document. Perfect. So
I'm going to. It wasn't, but
yeah, I believe Mark and Dawn at Supply 88 sells the new versions of them, which are awesome. So go to Supply 88. On Wednesday, I'm going to be demonstrating my tool kit, or my stringing kit and the cleaning kit that I have, as well as the prototype of the tool that is currently being, what do they say? Designed, created.
Designed.
I don't know.
Design's the right word, I think.
Designed. I think that's the right word. Yeah, and so we're experimenting with little background stuff. So my greenery, some wood, some metal, and some action. So I can be like, oh, I'll show you this really quick. Let's talk tools though. You know how the tool kit that I had yesterday or the day Friday was really organized? This auxiliary kit is just, it is in there. That is it. That is all I'm promising. All the stuff is in there in no particular order. So here we go. So it's this guy right here. The bag itself was a couple $100 on Amazon. The nice thing about this is it doesn't have that center column. So I'm able to just get a bunch of stuff in here. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, y'all. So you can see, this is a hodgepodge. This discourages me from going out to my car to get anything. But I'm going to go ahead and pull out everything so you can get an idea of what I have on hand. And usually I will have a small sledge hammer as well as a small a rubber mallet. So if I need to tighten legs or if I need to pound tuning pins in, this is great to have on hand. Again, this adds a lot of weight to your kit, so just be mindful of that. I'm gonna see if I can stack everything on here so everybody can see it. Obviously, when I'm coming out to the car, I'm coming out here because I'm usually having to glue on things. So I'll usually have some kind of a Titebond wood glue. I'll have my Tacky Glue, and typically I'll have some kind of a CA glue. That's that super glue with a quickening agent. I just didn't have some right here, but that's typically what I'll have on hand because I will glue on a lot of ivories or plastic key tops. And so I recommend this. Anybody guess what that is? This is David dumpster diving for gold. These, my friends, are ivory.
Ivory tops, yeah.
Ivory tops. And so I usually have some of these on hand so I can go ahead and apply them. But I'll make sure to have some different grades of sandpaper because I'll go ahead and sand them flush and everything. And if I need to, and then using that CA glue to apply them. That's what I'll do here. So go ahead and, if you go and find some free pianos, go to piano retailers. Sometimes they'll have cannibalized a bunch of ivory you could buy. Don't go and try to buy this online anywhere. I think it's illegal, but just know that that's another thing to get. I'll also have all the lubricants in this bag. So I have my Teflon powder. I have my McLube. I'll usually have my lube in here as well. And then my Protec right here. And then I have like a little squeeze bottle with a needle. And usually I kind of keep that attached right here and glued up. So I have my Protec as well. But you got to see, it's just kind of a bunch of randoms, you know? And I'm not saying that like my setup is the best, but it just has everything that I pretty much will need. This right here is probably one of the biggest ones to have. And this is the extra random. And so in here, you're going to see all this. I have miscellaneous felts, leather. I have a thinner and thicker leather. Just so you know, if you ever go to like a boot or a cobbler place, you can go ahead and buy this thicker stock. Even Joann's Fabrics and Michael's sells it now. So you can get that thicker stock over there. I'll have some miscellaneous odds and ends of bridle straps. Definitely have Q-tips. Q-tips on hand for plugging holes and things of that nature. I'll have some miscellaneous damper felt so that if I'm in a situation like Robert was in with his, I can just glue on another damper felt. Again, I don't have enough to do everything, like a whole set of anything. It's just onesie twosies. I can get things fixed. I have several styles of flanges. I have the upright flange with the cord, and then I have a standard. And guess what, y'all? I have brass. Let's see if I can see that. I have brass rail stuff. So can anybody tell me about, man, that's just not coming through. So this is the brass rail. Lighting is not great. It's just not coming through, is it? Let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah, there you go. So this is brass rail. And so instead of a piano having, and is there an uprights, instead of an upright having, you know, the wooden flange, it'll have these brass rail flanges, either singular like this or a whole rail of it. And so sometimes you have to go ahead and replace the tongues. And so on one side you have the screw hole, and on the other side there's this tongue that's squeezed together and that holds it in place. So definitely get something like that, like get a kit of those. I believe Shaft carries some brass rail stuff. You don't need a whole lot of it, just a handful of them in case you get stuck at a customer's house and one breaks during the tuning process. They're not happy with you, so you can go ahead and fix it. Questions about anything I've shown you so far? Pretty straightforward. Shanks. Get a handful of shanks for sure. I typically will have the heat gun in here as well, just the embossing gun over a hair straightener, just because I don't want both. And this one will do more than one job, whereas the hair straightener really only does one. So I can burn hammers with this guy. So I'll have this over here as well. I have my pinning stuff. And so typically, like, I'll have it kind of, you know, strapped to it. So that's my pin vise right there, as well as my pin punch. And then a lot of, oh yeah. And if you don't have one of these, by the way, you should definitely get one of these. Oh, why this light? I'm going to go ahead and just turn this up. So does anybody know what this is? This is a great tool.
Centerpin case.
You got it. It's a Centerpin case, and this has all the different sizes. Definitely get one of these, guys. It should definitely be in your kit.
David, one thing that I saw when I was out in St. Louis is that they, on the side, they did not the translation for the different sizes and stuff. On the side, they put a little, you know, gauge on the side. So on the top, it has the gauge, but on the other side, they gave what the metric value was or whatever, the millimeters. So that says like a 20 pin or a 21 pin. And then if you're doing a micrometer, then they did it in 0.00x or whatever, and they just taped that on the side of the case.
Huh. I'm too lazy for that, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's just one thing that I saw. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, and that makes a lot of sense.
Are pin gauges the same as piano wire gauges? Same measurement?
No, so it'll also be different. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I never really thought about it, because a size 22 string. I'm just thinking of size 22 string.
I think the gauge structure is the same, I believe.
Huh. Yeah. So typically we'll only go down to like a size 19 in this, size 18, 19 in your center pins. But obviously in strings, you'll go all the way down to like 12 gauge in your strings. It's a good question, Robert. I never thought about that. It's so funny, all the things you never think about until somebody asks you the question. It's like, geez, never thought of that. This is where I keep a tool roll of, and this is kind of an interesting thing. So I'll have my tool roll of just pliers and things of that nature. Now, this is one thing I really recommend you get, and these are a set of Allen wrenches for two reasons. One is you may have legs that are, these big old Allen wrench or lyres of the piano, especially with modern like Sejong in Indonesia pianos. They'll have that big old, or Everett, yes, on the back, exactly on the back side, you'll have that. I just bought this, and I got this on Amazon, and these are like end nippers, and they are really pretty nice. And they were like 2 for like $10, as opposed to the kind of the orange ones you get at Shaft that are like 15 for 1, and it doesn't last very long.
So these are flush cut? Totally.
Yeah, they're flush cut, and they're great. And I like it too because they don't open up very wide. You know what I mean? So it's right where you need them to be. So I'll have like my easing kit, easing stuff. I'll have another wire bending. If I have to like, chew up something really hard in steel, I'll kind of have something like this. But again, you're all not going to be needing to do this very much. The most service calls are just, you don't need to do this. Another thing, because I mentioned I have glue, I also have a couple clamps, just in case I need to clamp something and glue it. So I'll have a couple clamps on hand. This is usually where I'll keep a big voicing block. All this stuff I just don't want to keep in my little guy. This is also where I'm going to have the shank removal tool right here. And I also have the little clamp just kind of taped to it as well that clamps on the shank. I have a little razor knife right here that comes in handy, especially if I have to cut the felt that I'm, having to install. This is one that a lot of people don't think about, but it's actually really good to have on hand. And this is a Sharpie, just a simple Sharpie that you can use actually on the sharps. When they're discolored on the sides, sometimes I get customers like, is there anything you can do right there? My grandfather, he used to rub, his finger on it, and it's rubbing the sides down where the ebony meets the, key. This takes care of it really well. You can just quickly go through it, and it makes it look great. So that is literally all that my kit has. Yeah, that's it. So you can see that all this stuff is not that expensive for one. It's just gathering it. And it's a one-time thing. You're going to have to buy a set of bridle straps. You're going to have to buy a set of probably damper felt, and grand and upright. You're going to have to buy a set of, front rail punchings. Stuff like that. But once you have it, you got it for a long time. In fact, we've inherited a lot of businesses and things of that nature. And the technicians are just like handing us stuff that they've had since like the 70s of just miscellaneous felts that they've just never used. So it's not like you're going to go through it that fast or that quickly.
Hey, I have a question. The voicing block, I've never seen you use. Maybe you have. How do you use that? And is that a piano tool, or is it just a plain old something you buy?
It's something you can buy at Shaft, and they rake you over the coals for a piece of wood. So I'll just be honest. So this is like the shape of it. You can see right here. It's kind of got this felt around here. So you can make one of these at Home Depot for probably like $3. Or you can go to Shaft and just like pay it for them. Hey, I was able to just reach behind me and grab this. So this is for grand pianos. And so what this does is actually goes in between. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it with this. But typically it'll go in between the hammer like that. So it just sits there. It's behind, or excuse me, in front of that back check. And the hammer just rests on it, Robert, so that you can actually go ahead and put pressure upward or downward pressure on the hammer, and it doesn't flex while you're going and poking it with a needling tool.
Okay.
And typically you'd have the action out to be able to do that work, right?
Exactly. You'd have the action out in order to do that properly. So you usually have it on your lap, and you go ahead and put that behind the hammers, and the hammers just sit on it, and then you can do all the needling. Again, you can do that 9 times out of 10. When I don't have that, I'll just use like the little pin, you know, something like that. So that's not a big deal. Now, this is different than a regulation kit. So there's basically 4 to 5 kits that you can have. So you got your primary, which is your everyday carry. You're going to walk into a customer's house with that. You have your auxiliary. That's going to be for repairs, light repair work, and things of that nature. Then you have your stringing kit, your cleaning kit, and then your regulation kit. So the regulation kit is really going to have mostly things like key dip things. So it'll be your dip blocks, your jigs, and things of that nature. It's probably also going to have your regulation let off rail, you know, that you sit on the bench and you can do bench regulation with it, things of that nature. It's going to have also your lead weights that you put on. If you have the stack off of a grand piano action, you'll put the lead weights on the back of the back check to hold down. So that'll be more of a regulation kit. But really, I know I keep on saying, and that's all you need, and that's all you need. It just keeps on going. But I think that's all you need. Then I'll be like, hey, you really need to get a hammer hanging kit, or you really need to.
And apparently slippers as well.
Yes. Yeah, was that Cobran who said that?
Mm-hmm. Slippers.
And a spin it
so
kit,
thoughtful.
like with spin it parts.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. It just has a
carry around a dumpster.
So that's where you basically have a separate plastic little box that have miscellaneous spin it stuff, like the things that, you know, the little rubber grommets and stuff like that would be only on a spin it.
Yeah, I think so. I honestly, I would, because you're gonna run into spinnets. You're just gonna run into them. They're kind of always around.
Some matches and gasoline.
Yeah.
Is that why you recommended the Sledge Hammer, Stacy?
You know what we used to do, you guys? We used to, when we'd have a lot of these trade-ins at the store, right? And some of them just weren't worth fixing, unfortunately. It would have cost $2,500 of labor, and it wouldn't have even sold for that much. So every once in a while, we had 2 dumpsters, and every once in a while we'd rent a forklift, and we'd like lift it with the forklift and drop it and just like see what would happen with the pianos. And the neighbors would just be like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "Eh." It was just I don't know why that was so fun.
But that sounded cool.
Gasoline them, but we would lift them as high as we could in the forklift and then just drop them and just see, or we'd sledgehammer them sometimes too. I have videos, but back in the days.
OSHA is gonna get on you guys. Gee whiz. I would say that you probably have $300, $400 in your auxiliary bag, if I had to guess. You can get them used, you'll go cheaper. So, you know, the pin punch and stuff like that. But it's just a lot of glue, clamps, hair straightener, or the small heat gun, Allen wrenches, things of that nature.
David, speaking of glues, I think we've talked about it previously in other calls, but what's your take on the Titebond, just the regular wood glue versus Titebond 3? And what's your take on the differences between the two, and where's one better, where's one worse, etc.?
Sure. So funny enough, I've always had this sense that Titebond 2 and 3 just don't seem to do what I would like them to do. They don't dry as fast, they don't dry as hard, but I couldn't quantify that. But then I went and I started watching this YouTuber who does these, he's a local guy, he does these amazing slab kind of tables and woodworking. And he did a deep dive into it. And sure enough, the people there, his mentors were like, yeah, Titebond 1. Just get standard Titebond, and that's the way to go. So ever since then, I've kind of switched back to using Titebond. I think this one I just found just to kind of show you, but this is, I'll use this in a pinch, but generally speaking, I'll just get Titebond, just the first rendition.
Right, which is kind of what the red labeling, I think, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
I think so. Yeah, so I would definitely, that's, yeah.
Okay. That's what I had heard as well,
yeah.
that the original Titebond, the original wood glue is what people have been recommending on places that I've gone, both in Missouri as well as the conference down in Florida. So.
Oh, interesting. So people even there recommended that.
Yeah.
Huh.
And similar to what Janice was using, the alternate or was the PVC glue.
Even for wood applications like wood binding. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So if that's the case, I would recommend, just because I don't have a lot of experience, I didn't know that. I would recommend, if you just want to have one glue, that PVC glue seems to be able to be your all around everything. You can do that for, hammer hanging, which would be wood to wood, or felt, installing felts, which would be obviously felt to wood, which would be awesome. So one glue does it all. That would be cool.
Yeah, I used the PVC glue for the back rail.
Oh, you did? Now, it doesn't come in any kind of squeeze bottles like this, right?
Well, I bought mine from Howard, and it did come in a small squeeze bottle.
Oh, it did.
So
see,
I just had to cut the tip. It actually had an applicator, and I just had to cut the tip off because it was sealed.
Yeah.
And just make a small angle cut, and then it applied just like you had a regular glue bottle.
That's cool, because I thought they only came in like jars like this. So that's good to know.
Yeah, if it came in a bigger thing, then at least Howard had broken down into small bottles, and it's like a 3-4 ounce bottle, something like that, pretty small.
What's the one repair that you all are the most nervous or apprehensive to do in a home?
String
replacement.
Repair.
It's the most annoying, I think.
Robert, did you say string as well?
Yes. I mean, I haven't done one. I imagine it's a matter of time. I would probably come back and try and practice, but I haven't even done one yet on this. But I'm working. This Young Chang, I've ordered piano wire. It's just not in yet.
Okay.
For me, would be doing a shank replacement, because I've not physically done one. I've seen how it's done multiple times, both at the other events I've been, plus you demonstrated it, but not having done one, that's what I would be.
Sure.
Apprehensive.
That's funny. I'll take 2 shank replacements over a string any day. I don't know what it is. I just never got super familiar with replacing strings or splicing.
Yeah, that was going to be my other question, is how much in your career have you actually needed to do a string splice?
I've been doing it for a while. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I can, it's few enough that I literally remember everyone.
So not even one a year? Yeah.
Wow. Yikes.
Yes. So not that many.
Not that many. I don't know. Stacy, is that normal? That's probably not normal. I don't know.
Maybe in Utah we must splice them more. I think but no, not often, but okay, I'm thinking
It's only going to be,
I'd maybe see like one every 6 weeks here when I would help here. That's kind of more than what you're saying though. That's a lot more. What am I? Maybe we're breaking strings more.
That's pretty often, I feel.
That is often. But you know what? Here in Utah, I don't know if it's like this for y'all where y'all are at, but there are a lot of 100-year-old pianos. Half of the pianos are 100-year-old pianos. Is it like that where you guys are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is? Okay, so that's not, maybe we just, I don't know.
Are they doing the popping technique? Are they ratcheting it?
I have some that are really good, and some that could use some help there.
It's like they say, no one ever buys an umbrella. You just find one day and then you lose it and then someone else finds it. So maybe that's the deal with those pianos.
Maybe so. I had one that really liked to do it though. So maybe he was like he loved it to string
what?
splice. Loved it.
That's weird.
Maybe that's why, because he would always get excited. I did it today. I'm like, oh, it's great. I did it for you. Great. Are you breaking them?
I hate doing string splicing. So maybe I just, So the only times I've done it have been bass strings.
That's really a good reason for it, because otherwise you're having to take it out and do all the measurements and send it off and all of that.
Yep. And at treble, I'll just be like, hey, do you want me to replace this? It's a couple $100 because I'll have to come back, touch it up and tune it. And they're like, no, does it still make a sound? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, no, skip it. So
yeah, we should have you just break 5 strings, David, on the piano.
You know how I broke the strings right there? That was probably the most I've broken in years, and I was on our piano. It didn't need to happen.
We'll have Robert bring his stopwatch.
Oh gosh, no!
That's
You'll
awesome.
see me, I'll cut myself, and I'll just get
Justin broke a bass string on his piano. I'm gonna try to splice. That might be a fun. I wonder if we could walk you through it. Would that be hard to do?
I don't want to put that pressure on Justin.
That'd be hard. That'd be stressful though, huh? It would be stressful. Yeah. No one likes
it. Can do it blindfolded.
Yeah.
I have a question on the stringing, because you can only splice above the non-speaking length. I mean, how do you know or decide string or splice? What's your?
I've in pinches, I've done below the speaking length. Yeah, you could still make it happen if worst case, but so I'm sorry, Robert. When you said it, I went to this mode of memory, so I didn't quite fully get the question.
Well, how do you determine I'm going to replace or splice this string, depending upon where it broke, etc.?
That's a big one. Yeah, if it broke right at the coil, right where, or right at the winding, I should say, where there's nothing to even attach it to, then I'll go ahead and replace the string. So if it's a half an inch or less, usually, or an inch or less. Yeah, and if where you're gonna do the knot or the tie is right at that break where it's you're not gonna be able to get it to full tension. Or if you just don't want to do it, you just want to order a new string. Which I would say, we used to have a technician, his name is Ryan, and he was like the splicing master. So we never ordered strings for Ryan because he just always spliced them somehow. And they held. I really don't like pulling up the tension of a spliced string. It's like you're already shaken usually from having broke it initially, and then to splice it and then just kind of cross your fingers I hope it doesn't do it again and pop. Like just adding insult to injury. Bruce is just laughing.
Oh, here's
I
a
like
question.
this is a safe space where we could just talk, because I'm sure there'll be people like, what are you talking about? What's the big deal? Yeah,
okay.
Nanny.
I got a question. It's humid in the south, so we get a lot of mildew. How to clean? Are the strings you're asking how to clean, right? Is that right, Andy? Sorry.
Mildew.
Mildew. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I've seen pianos come from like Florida and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
the
like
wood.
Kauai.
The wood. Yeah, the wood.
Yeah. I don't know if it's one of the, I've just not experienced a lot of that here in the West Coast to even, do much with that. What about you, Stacy? Do you have any ideas? I mean, you could kind of blow it out like air, intense air compression to kind of clean it up.
Yeah, I mean, we would baking soda
it's
them.
Everywhere.
We'd baking soda them.
Baking soda.
Yeah.
Like fungus can't live where baking soda is. Like it can't live there. So we would, what else would we do? I haven't seen, trying to think if I've seen like mold on a piano though.
Yeah. I've seen the little fuzz stuff that grows on like these Kauais that come from like Florida and they come here. I'm like, what is this stuff? Yeah, I just don't know how you would apply it all. You know what I mean? What are you going to pull every little single part and just put like a toothpick? I mean, I don't know. Q-tip?
I would say the soda blasting. And for metals and plastic, I use 409, and usually the mildew comes right off. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the wood, yeah, you either live with it or soda blast, I guess.
Now, the 409, I've had one plate that I nearly destroyed with 409. And it was a really antique piano, so really old, but it just ate away that finish. So I'm a big fan of the 409, but just test it on a little part of the plate, especially before you start really applying it everywhere. Because sometimes these plates and the finish can just go away with that kind of stuff, that kind of chemical. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. The mildew. Just move to somewhere where there's not mildew, Andy. That's the solution.
Yeah, no, I did hear a technician say like bleach and water in a spray bottle and spray down. But no, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that personally, but I've heard.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that personally either. Hey, let's just spray a bunch of liquid in the piano. So string splicing, restringing, shank basically replacement or hammer replacement. I'm just trying to think of all the things. Yeah, I think that also the damper regulation work, that can be a big deal as technicians are kind of starting out. Just how to fix a ringing damper. So that's a big one too. Luckily, we've talked about that before and we'll talk about that again. But for whatever reason, just early on, all those bends and getting it just right can be a hectic one as well.
Speaking of dampers, do you feel like adjusting dampers on an upright is more difficult or less difficult than doing one on a grand?
Boy, that's a good question. I would say,
or is that just different because they're different?
I would say that starting out, I felt like the uprights were harder because you can't see the spoon. You can't, it's hard to figure out how to get the tool in there and adjust the spoon. Now, I'd say that grands are way harder because I know how to do all the bends. You don't have to take the action out with an upright. It's just, you can get it in there quick and easy and get it done. With a grand, you have to pull the action out, pull it back in. I'm going to set the timing. I'm going to adjust this. Is it lifting right? It's back and forth, back and forth. So it's just more work on a grand.
Mm-hmm.
The other one for me is lubrication. I'm going tomorrow morning to follow up with this lady's console because all the keys just weren't returning. So I'm going to try and use some Protec, but making sure you talk about liquids in pianos, have this fear of it dripping down into the base, or I could take the action out, I guess, and make it easier.
So have you isolated what parts have the friction? Is it in the flanges or in the keys themselves?
Well, as when I first started, I would say it's probably in the flanges, somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not the keys. I don't think it's the bushings in the keys. I think it's in the flanges in the pin areas.
Yeah, the pinning.
So, here the pin's this way and you're applying the Protec here. I mean,
you'd be amazed
down in there.
Yeah,
whether I should take action out or not, I don't know.
That felt really wicks it in. I'm amazed at how much it does that.
Okay.
So I've had really good success of just kind of going back and forth with it. Here's the, just getting it in there and just kind of going, you can go back and forth right in that, in between the flanges, and just kind of don't go like excessive, but just a little drip on each of them. And you'll be amazed at how much that can get in there.
Well, that'd be my first time. You kind of come in from the side, kind of like a Pabst mute, 1 or 2 over. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh, I want these upright actions. We need to follow up with Rayburn, because we got these state-of-the-art education models that are just coming. Oh, yeah. It's hard to demonstrate with just a single key, because you don't have the 2 flanges or 3 flanges right up next to each other. I mean, you need that to really see it. How many service calls are you doing per week, Robert, now?
Right now, it's just tuning.
Just tuning.
So I'm on my second round of free tunings. But tomorrow I've got 6 pianos at a Lutheran school and church. They wanted me to do their school. And I said, well, how many you got? Well, we have 6 total. It will not be a one-day gig. But
okay, I'm like,
so my tool bag is just a hammer and mutes and screwdrivers. But as I see a problem, I come back to y'all. That's why I ask all these questions to try. Then I purchase the appropriate tools and try and get some confidence, go back. So
yeah,
it's caution before confidence right now on my repairs.
Give you all
just
the
so
best.
you know, this is typically kind of the start of the slower season. It kind of goes in ebbs and flows, but this is kind of the slower season right now. And then, of course, in the summertime, it does get usually fairly slow, which is why it's good to kind of get involved with churches and schools and do summertime tunings. What are your thoughts, Stacey?
March is slower? I feel like, well, I guess I see it pick up in April. I don't know why. Maybe recital season. I see it pick up in April. So maybe that's true. Yeah.
I actually see it dip even more in the Northwest in April because of taxes.
Really?
I mean, these are basically, it starts up high in January or, end of the year.
Yeah.
And then it kind of tapers down. And then it kind of has a little bit of that. And then it goes way down in summer. Then it goes up.
Piano season is always August through December, whether you're in a store or servicing. That is like those are nice months. July's always dips. July always dips.
Yep.
Everyone's on vacation. So yeah, that's a good time to get the schools in right before August and the teachers start going back. And that's such a good time to do it. Yeah.
How about you, Victor? How are you and Ramses doing right now?
We're doing okay. It's a dip. Yeah, you guys are exactly right. And summer, we thought summers would be busy, but no. And it's always the same. August, the 1st of August, all of us, we're like, all right, we like none of us are going on vacation. All the schools all the schools want everything done. All the churches want everything done. So yeah, same thing. August 1st, that's when it's game time.
Yeah. If you're good and do what Stacey tells you, you're always setting up the following up appointments and stuff like that. So after a couple of years, you're going to have that full, you'll be booked during all these, all these times.
Yes, that's the problem we're running into right now. We don't have that recurrency or that cycle yet. So yeah, this season's a little bit slow for us. And we're just trying to figure out how to get people in.
Totally. Yeah, it's always a stressful thing as business owners, is just like, a lot of times it is feast or famine, and so just having that consistency is a big deal. I mean, luckily when it's just more single operator, you only have like your mouth to feed, but as you grow, if you have more employees and things of that nature, it can get really stressful. So doing all the little things that you can do to find some consistency is huge, like follow-up appointments and things of that nature. And again, schools is a big one.
David, what do you feel is your percentage between, individuals at their houses versus more corporate type gigs, whether it be schools or venues or other type of entities, business entities?
I have a number, but I'm curious what Stacy thinks.
I know, I'm just like trying to calculate too what it would be. Oh, we do have a lot of school pianos, but it's much higher with the residential. Like,
I was going to guess 70-30 residential to business stuff was kind of what I was guessing.
I'd say higher with the residential.
Yeah, I'd say 85 to 90.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would yeah, that feels about there.
That's a really good. We're like the opposite. We have all the districts down here, all the schools and universities, but we have such a hard time getting residential. It's so weird.
That is crazy because your website is popping. It looks great. Yeah.
And you have a Google business profile, right, Victor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Wow. And then piano teachers locally?
Yes, we do all the piano teachers and the academies, but I would say we have been getting a little more of like piano teachers call because they're students. But I think the issue right now is a lot of the students don't have pianos. So actually, we've been selling a few pianos. So hopefully in these next months or years, we'll see that more people are calling. I just think a lot of these students don't have pianos.
Are they on digitals?
Well, that's going to be my question. Are they more on digital stuff?
Yeah, because in our area, I'd say a good majority of the area is low income, so they can't afford pianos, acoustic pianos. They can't afford the services to get it maintained. And for a long time we were trying to find that balance for our pricing to accommodate that. Yeah. And it's just tough because we do have a lot of our customers are doctors, lawyers, really high end stuff, but at the same time we get calls to go. We live very close to the border, so we get called out to trailers and really low income houses, and so it's a struggle trying to service both people, and of course we want to help everybody. So
yeah,
it's just difficult.
So Andy Hill had a really good comment. Piano movers are a good lead for. That's a really, if you can get in with a good mover and they are good referrals. Those are some good referral. Every customer they have has a piano. That's a good one.
David, do you recommend us moving pianos? Like our company, we move pianos here in our area. It's just because nobody else really does it.
You move them?
Yeah, we move them. Yes.
That's so.
I really don't recommend it. I used to move pianos, and I only moved them for a couple of years. I'm still getting over some of that stuff. It's not a lot of work as you're driving and you know what to do and stuff like that, but it's intense, scary, physical, yes. When you need to do it. Oh shoot, where the liars, or the dolly's moving. Okay, brace it,
Yeah. And I actually I missed last week's meeting on Wednesday because of a moving accident. There was a new guy working with, or not a new guy, but the delivery guy was helping, and he pulled out one of the boxes, and I had to catch it, and I hurt myself pretty bad. So that's the thing.
Yeah, Victor, it's a whole different world, the piano moving world. I've ran a couple of piano moving businesses because we would do both, and I would not even put. It's just such hard. It's so. Sometimes we would have our tech step in and help with the moves, but I never liked that because the risk of injury type, the liability is so high. It's so high. The equipment and the truck and the moving, and I've seen some be very successful if they can do it by time. Yeah. But I don't know. I would rather, if I were you, I'd rather like flip pianos, like fix them and sell them rather than.
A lot of times it's not much. I mean, here in Portland, the standard piano moving is like $200 to $250. I'd rather just do a tuning.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And the thing is, yeah, like if we're gonna do it successfully, you know, get better gear so we don't hurt ourselves. But spending that amount to get the proper gear, it's like, man, we could buy, no, the some tools we need for regulation, table, or you know, more let off racks or more cradle, just stuff. You know, there's so many more things I could think we could spend that money on. So I don't know. But the other thing is, there's no good piano movers down here. Nobody. The movers here don't like doing it, or I've had to go fix lyres that had broken because the movers did it wrong. And so
there's an art to it. There's an art to piano moving. It is not like, it's not a furniture moving deal. It's a completely different beast, different technique, different tools, different. It's not like your neighbor. Oh, I've seen so many.
Especially the difference between an upright and a grand. An upright, regular movers potentially could move it, but a grand, I wouldn't trust a regular mover to do any grand.
No, yeah,
I agree. No, I agree. Like, I would move uprights because I had good leg power, believe it or not. Like, I was always scared. Oh, the grands would scare me so much.
Yeah,
because we'd have to deliver them on Christmas Eve. We'd always have like 30 pianos deliver in one day. So we just had to do it. And the grands. I just like, so scary. I don't know why.
Even professionals, like, we've moved dozens of grands at this point, but still, like, when I get there, there's that, like, I'm still just like, I'm still scared that something's gonna happen. And I feel like grands are always unpredictable. They're just so massive and so heavy.
However, I think everyone should know how to move a piano. I think if you're in that world, because look, you can pick up your own piano if you buy one, which is kind of nice, but I don't know. Go ahead.
Here's another thing that's even scarier. You may think that you're insured for this. 9 out of 10 times you're not insured for a replacement value because they haven't paid for that extra. You're insured for a weight value. And so that means the insurance is going to say, hey, we're not going to replace that piano. We're just going to give you, 50 cents a pound. That's what they do. And so you may not even be insured for what you think you are. Because usually what happens is the insurance companies, you have to take out a specific per piano. So for instance, we didn't know that until it was too late for us. We were having a piano delivered and we thought the moving company was insured properly. It was a reputable moving company. And they had all the normal, and so there was a damage to it. And we were like, we need to replace this. And they're like, we're not insured for that. But what are you guys insured for? They're like, yeah, it's based by weight. So this is a 1,200 pound piano. And so that we can give them $700. Have you heard of that, Stacey?
Sorry, that just jaw dropped me. No, yeah.
So this is a moving company, not somebody that's specifically a piano mover.
Specifically a piano moving company, Michael. It was.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Do you know what? I'm trying to think because when you're in that business, I've been the witness of many damaged pianos, right? I was the one that would have to handle those kind of things when they would happen, call the customer. But I always worked in stores, so we could always replace it. We could always replace it with inventory, right? So
it's usually in the fine print when you go ahead and do the scratch sheet. It's usually, do you want to take out an additional coverage on the piano? And if you say yes, then they have to call it in for that particular move to get it fully insured, and it costs more.
That seems like a lot of extra work.
Yep. And so just, don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
To scare everyone, but yeah, it's a different beast though.
I didn't mean to scare you. Don't do it.
I already knew I didn't want to be a piano mover, so you didn't scare me because I already was in that vein of thought. So
I will say I do enjoy it though. That's the thing. I like it.
You're probably really good at it, honestly. Yeah. Do you notice that the people you move with become like, there's like a soul bond you get with them? I feel like I become, like not like a war buddy. Like, I don't know why, but the people I've moved with, like, we're like connected in this weird way forever. I don't know. Cause maybe because we had like our lives are in each other's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because every time you move a piano, it's life or death. So of course.
Exactly.
Well, and there's all this nonverbal communication. You have to just know, like, be in tune with. I don't know. It's like this thing, like they're
That's
my
true.
buddies.
No, that's true. We there's a guy that we do all of our dolly installs with, and me and him are just like, it's just that thing, you know. We don't have to talk anymore. We just do it, and
yeah.
So back on tool stuff, David. Thinking on sandpaper, how many different grits of sandpaper do you typically carry? What, 2 or 3?
I'll carry 3. I'll carry an 80 grit, 150, and 220. And by the way, we're gonna do a craft. One of the next upcoming ones, we're gonna be doing a crafting one. And I'm gonna show you the links, and we can kind of give you a demo. But you see this? This is something that you can buy at on Amazon. And so this is an acrylic sheet. It's an 1/8 inch thick, and it's roughly 4 inches by 6 inches. And so you can kind of see this, you know, it's just glass, but it's plastic. And so we're gonna make our own sanding paddles of this stuff. And so you're gonna go ahead and buy this, and then go ahead and buy a sticky back sandpaper. And they make great sanding paddles. And so we're gonna do that in one of these lives. I'll kind of show you the ins and outs of that. And this is like the perfect size, because you can kind of go this way vertically or horizontally and really get some good stuff. So I'll be sending links when we're gonna be doing that, but I'm excited to do that one.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do that, but I just was, you know, I didn't know the exact sizes, but this is perfect. Yep. That's perfect.
Yep, I'm excited to show you, because we used to buy this stuff from a company called like Flutelberg, and they used to have these sanding paddles that were amazing, and they came like in a little kit. They were like $75, okay? And it wasn't until I had to replace that stupid sanding paper that I'm like, hold on a second. Are you telling me I spent $75 for a 30-cent piece of plexiglass and some sticky back sandpaper? We're gonna make our own. I don't think that the Flutelberger whatever is still doing it, so it's okay.
Bruce, did we answer your question on the spring replacement on a spinet? Did we answer that? I didn't think so. I'm so sorry. I just saw it. The moving thing got me all like nervous. So I was like, damper spring replacement on a spinet.
Damper spring or hammer spring?
It says damper spring. Do you mean damper spring?
I hope it's a damper spring.
Yes.
It is.
No. Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
I have no experience with spinets, and suddenly they're taking over my life, and I just want to kill myself. They're horrible.
Don't jump, Bruce. Don't jump.
They're horrible. Every time you get like a nice, grand, lovely Steinway to work on, you get a stupid spinet the next day with the rusty everything.
Okay, Bruce. So luckily, if it's a damper lever spring, you don't have to take the action out. Granted, this is a full-size upright, but you can just simply use your tweezers and use a long flathead screwdriver and go down and remove that flange and then pull it up. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
I'm going to show you. Okay. So I'm at the piano. I'm looking down at the spinet, just admiring its gorgeous beauty of innovation. And I'm Bruce, the expert of spinets. So I'm just going to just go down right here. I'm going to use pliers just in case. But you shouldn't even need to, but you're just going to go like this. You're vertical using a long, skinny flathead screwdriver, and just lift this up. The action's still in there.
Oh.
And now you can go ahead and figure out how you're going to replace this spring. So typically, I'm not going to lie, Bruce, this is a kind of a lame repair. Like, it's not going to be fun. So you're going to have two options. You're going to be able to either replace the entire flange and spring by buying a replacement one, or you're going to have to pop this pin out, remove the flange, and go ahead and basically graft another spring in here. Does that make sense? Sorry, Bruce.
I think I can just tell them I moved and won't be back.
No speak English.
Hire someone to break in and just smash the piano, just the piano.
No speaky.
I'm sorry, but yeah,
this is not worth $50. It's horrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is not a fun repair by any means, but you can do it. And say it again.
I think I'm gonna tell her she should get like somebody more experienced from the next town.
Yeah, I mean it's just so, like, for instance, if I'm at the spinet right now and I'm trying to put this in, if I'm Bruce over there and all of a sudden the screw falls down, woo!
Oh gosh,
you got the most intense game of
operation
you'd ever want, and it may be that spinet has plastic flanges, so you've just I'm sorry. Like, you can see how hard this is for me to do right here. This is not a spinet, and this is like a single note action. And that spring just fell out. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to be
Would you say that's even worse than like spoons? Is it even worse than doing spoons?
It's even worse than string splicing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass this job off. This is crazy.
I mean, there has to be some kind of spinet freak that just loves to work on them. Like, refer them.
They're in the middle. They're in the middle of nowhere is the problem. So, I mean, it's like, you know.
Where's the story gets worse and worse? I hear that, and it's in there in the middle of nowhere. So as soon as you're done, you get it fixed, and 2 days later they have you come back out because it didn't work. I've had that.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I laugh because I know it's
okay. Well, thank you for. I know. Thank you for showing me.
Yeah.
Cry.
All right. Wednesday. I'm looking for that tool because he sent me it. And it came in an envelope, and I had it out. And I was gonna show it.
You don't.
But I haven't been able to find it.
You didn't tell me.
He's holding out on you, Stacy.
That was a cliffhanger, huh? You're just cliffhangering for next time. That's what it is.
We'll see. But it would be really cool, though, if I could do my next live, because I'm going to be in Arizona. I might be able to do it alongside Mark Perney, owner, founder of Supply 88. So I'm going to see if I can. I don't think he drinks, but maybe he'll drink some like juice or something. So I'll give him some juice.
Get the time zone right, please.
Yeah, that's right. Well, luckily it's the same here in Oregon and
we're
Arizona.
The same now. Arizona and it's the same.
Yeah, but I asked you if it was Pacific Standard Time and you did it on daylight time. We don't change. So I knew it had to be 5 o'clock.
Oh, you're in Arizona. Janice, you're right. I'm so sorry. I'm so confused. It's my fault. I'm so sorry. You're right. I just said it. I just said it today and I already forgot.
Luckily we recorded it and you're going to post it on our small group.
Welcome, Janice.
Hey.
Hi, Janice.
See you later.
Robert. I'm in here for the last 5 minutes, I guess.
I'm so sorry, Janice. You did ask me that, and I'm like, yeah, we're good.
That's why I asked, because I know we don't change, and if it's on Pacific Standard Time, I know it's 5 o'clock here because that's Pacific Standard Time.
Why do you think I like it that Indiana doesn't change anymore? So we went, started observing daylight savings like 10, 15 years ago. So we got out of this whole issue because I used to be in the same issue.
Yeah, we don't do it. We don't, well, let me put it to you this way. Most of Arizona does not do daylight savings time, but the Navajo Nation does. But the Hopi Nation that is inside the Navajo Nation doesn't. So you got, you know, times all over the place. And most places in Arizona, we have 2 clocks. One for, you know, Arizona time.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Janice. Just for that, we're going to refund your monthly fee.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, Victor, have you talked to Janice about who her piano movers are?
No.
Ask Janice who she uses for piano moving. It's a great idea.
Who do you use?
I use the fireman movers, and they're firemen. And they actually heft the things up and down the steps. Yeah. They're not cheap anymore. They used to be pretty cheap. This last one was really expensive, but yeah, they're firemen, and they'll get 5 or 6 of them, and they just heft that piano and carry it up the steps.
Yeah, it's nice with 5 or 6 guys. Yeah. But usually it's just me and one other dude. Yeah.
That's funny.
Not healthy to heft it. There's a better way.
Yeah. That reminds me of us. Yeah, that reminds me of this one time. Yeah, I saw this like car wash, and Kathy and I were married for like 5 years, and she said something about a car wash. I'm like, yeah, you know, I've never go to the whatever bikini ones, and she's like, yeah, that's ridiculous. She's like, I did go to a fireman car wash once. I'm like, what? When was this? I'm like, she's like, we weren't dating. So apparently, firemen move pianos and wash your car and put
actually they move everything. They'll load your house up, and yeah.
Apparently they put out fires too, supposedly.
Well, they only
have nothing to do.
It's only in emergencies.
But they only work like what, 6 or 8 days a month, so they've got plenty of time to be a mover, you know.
So they just get to keep the money. That's cool. Okay.
See you on Tuesday. I gotta go find that tool. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.